What is up, my butter biscuits? Y'all, I'm gonna start this video off with an apology. And for those of you that know, before everyone used to come at me sideways because I would always have something to apologize about. Like it was either the way I looked, or it was like the sounds in the background, or just like something. Do you know what I mean? And y'all, I told you guys before that I had saw in a Reddit forum that somebody was like talking about me, and then somebody's like, God, I can't stand how much he always has to apologize for something. And I'm like, let me just tell you guys something, okay? Since I'm opening up more on the internet, obviously, if you guys have not checked out my podcast, y'all will see I am fully open over there. It's really crazy because if you go back years on my channel, and those of you that know, I used to be a full open book, but then throughout the years I just became a little bit more reserved. That's why I was like, y'all, low-key, I lost myself. But since I'm being fully open, like just being straight up with you guys, the reason why I apologize so much is because as a kid, y'all, I used to get beat, you know what I mean? Not like beat like that, but you know what I mean? Like I used to get hit by my parents, just keeping it real. And like, y'all, so if I would ever do anything wrong or whatever, I just would feel the need to apologize. Even like when I was playing baseball before, say for example, if I overthrew the ball and then like, you know, the person I was playing catch with or whatever had to like run and get it, I'd be like, oh, sorry. And I would say it like every single time. And then even like teammates of mine would be like, stop saying sorry. And I'm like, y'all, it's just been a habit of mine. And I'm about to be 34 in about like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I'm still saying it so much. So anyways, my whole apology within today's video is I have tried to wait to film these videos that I'm about to film right now. The neighbors are doing some construction. They're like doing sawing and stuff like that. It's really, really loud. I will try my hardest to edit it out. But anyways, I just want to say, I was thinking before, I was like, oh, I haven't apologized in a hot minute. So there you guys go. There's my apology for today. Also, as I did mention, make sure you guys check out my new podcast. It'll be linked down below. And that is just... it is just such a good time over there. And yes, I am still uploading on my travel channel too. I'm just like so busy, y'all. I do think for a little bit, I may only be uploading 2 videos per month on my travel channel. Just letting you guys know. But then we're going to be going to Japan pretty soon. So then I'll have a lot of content. Like I feel like within my Japan trip, I'm probably going to be filming 10 videos for that channel, which I'm so excited about. So anyways, make sure you guys go show some love over there. Obviously, as you guys can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about Daisy Marquez. And just being truthful with you guys, this is the first time I've ever talked about her on my channel, and honestly, like I've heard of her before, but I've just never watched a video of hers. I'd never really heard too much about her. I just feel like she is I don't know, I just feel like she's not somebody that I really like cared to talk about or even like known much to talk about, you know what I mean? Because I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, and okay, maybe this sounds shady, maybe this sounds rude, but what I've seen of her before in the past, she just seems like one of those girls that is just trying so hard to be like Kylie Jenner, and she just seems so fabricated and just so like not real and not down to earth, and she just seems like a Kardashian. Do you know what I mean? Like to where they get on camera and everything just seems so like, you know, you guys know what I'm trying to say, right? Everything that I saw of her, I was like, oh, I definitely would not click with her as a person, so that's why I've never really cared to watch her content before. So therefore, I really don't know too much about her, but obviously, as you guys can tell by the title of today's video, and I'm sure you guys have probably already seen this before because this has been out now for about a week, maybe even a little bit over a week. She just came out that she lied about having sickle cell. And I am so sorry, y'all. One, I want to start this video off before we even get into the details. I want to go and start this off by saying she has some balls on her. Like, to admit that she actually did it, let's just go ahead and keep it real. Like, that takes a lot to even say. But the fact that she actually got out here and said, and a lot of people did question it for years, are like, okay, this just doesn't even make sense. Do you know what I mean? But now that she started a podcast and she is like keeping it real, the girl who she does the podcast with, though, a lot of people actually on Reddit and on TikTok are kind of like going ham on too, because they're like, wait, she's literally just being so nonchalant about it. Like, your friend or your co-host literally just came out that she lied about having sickle cell just because she didn't want the internet to know that she had a BBL. And you're just over here like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's like, girl, what? Like, that's not okay. Like, it's so crazy to me because it's like, y'all, I'm so sorry, but illnesses and just cancer or like anything in general, like even faking an accident or whatever, I'm like, I take that so seriously, y'all. Like, yo, one time before, I felt so bad. Like, okay, I don't have... This is so horrible of me, but I was like 25 years old, y'all, and I was trying to go to Vegas, and I had Saturday, Sunday off, but I needed Friday off. And then like one time I had called, and I was like, oh, my grandma's sick. And honestly, and this is why I say like, don't ever do this. I was like, my grandma's sick, and this is like my great grandma, by the way. I was thinking of her in mind when I called in, and she literally died the next week. Like literally, I'm not exaggerating. So I was like, oh my God, I felt like such a horrible person. Like I could never do that. You know what I mean? So from there on out, y'all, whenever I would call in, I'd be like, oh, my dog. I didn't have a dog at the time. I'd be like, oh, my dog's injured or something. You know what I mean? I was like, I mean, she made it to like 94 years old. So, I mean, it was bound to happen. But I was like, okay, like just talking about things like this or like making light of it or like lying about it is just not right. Like, and the fact that she kept it on for years. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. We will get into the details. There goes the sawing, y'all. I think I can edit it out. Hopefully, we'll be testing my audio editing skills. Anyways, y'all, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, just to start off this video, to give you guys a little bit of context, I do want to give a huge shout out to Panchito, who actually found the original video by Daisy Marquez that had posted that she said that she had sickle cell. I want you guys to watch a kind of lengthy clip of this so that way you guys have the context to know what she was saying. And I'm just so sorry, y'all, that we live in a world to where people get online and just lie about things like this. Obviously, we know a lot of people get online to like create GoFundMes. Obviously, their main objective about lying about a GoFundMe is to get some type of money, get some type of revenue. But the fact that Daisy Marquez had a BBL and didn't want people to know and why she was missing, she's gonna go and say sickle cell. And I guess a lot of medical professionals too who were actually watching the video were like, this doesn't make sense in the slightest. But I do have to say, from an outsider and somebody who was not within the medical field, like watching the video, I was like, oh, like this seems legit. It seems convincing. Like I was Googling some things about sickle cell and I was like, okay, she obviously did her research about this lie, obviously, so that way people wouldn't call her out. But it's just kind of crazy to think that like she would go to that extent than rather just say that she had a BBL. And also, before I even get into this clip, you know, another thing that just like grinds my gears about people on social media, like if you have noticeable work done, it's like just admit it. Like, can you guys imagine one day where I just come on camera and I have a full on hairline? You guys would be like, that wasn't there before. And can you just imagine? I'm like, oh yeah, I just started taking Rogaine. Like, no, I had a hair transplant. You know what I mean? I don't understand why people just can't keep it real. I get at the end of the day, obviously, if you want to keep things private, but when you are a public figure, and obviously when you're posting like bikini photos and when you're posting like out in bathing suits and you're like, you know, looking a little flat, and then one day you just got boom, it's just like, okay, obviously things are a little bit noticeable. And I really do think it, like, not even I think, I know it really like just irritates everyone in general that are like watching this person, because they're like, we're watching you lie. And then on top of that too, you're setting an unrealistic expectation, because some people will get out there and say, oh, I've just been doing crunches and I've been doing like sit-ups and I've been doing this and that, and it's like, no, you had surgery, like you hit the cheat code on it, you know what I mean? Which is totally fine. Get your work done, get everything done. Honestly, y'all, if I was rich, I would have weight loss surgery, I would get my boobs removed, I would get a hair transplant. Like there are things that I would do. I would have body modifications, do you know what I mean? And I think that that's totally fine, but just don't get up on camera and lie about it. And the fact that she actually said she had sickle cell, of all things, like, y'all, she could have just said like, oh my gosh, I was like, you know, suffering with depression or something, and that's why I was gone for so long. You know what I mean? But the fact that you came on here and said sickle cell, it's like, Coral, you're doing the utmost. Anyways, go ahead and check out a small little portion of her video that she deleted.
The beginning of the year, obviously it's still the beginning of the year, but in the beginning of January, I went for my physical checkup and they took out some blood work and they were like, oh, are you anemic? And I was like, yes. I was like, I'm anemic. I was like, I've already been knowing this. I was like, because of my iron level is low. And they were like, oh no, you're not anemic because of your iron level. They were like, your hemoglobin level is low. So right after my appointment, I told my mom what happened, and then she flew down here, which a lot of you guys were like, why is Daisy's mom there? Why isn't she showing her off on Snap, how I usually do? And my mom was really concerned, so obviously her as a parent, she just came down here to be there for support and just to see what's going on. So then whenever we went back for the checkup appointment, that's where they explained everything to me. So pretty much what sickle cell anemia is, everybody has red blood cells and they are circles. However, if you have sickle cell anemia, your red blood cells are like little crescent moons. So that makes it really easy for them to pile up and clog up. And red blood cells contain protein, which is hemoglobin, and when the hemoglobin doesn't get to a specific area of your body, then obviously it affects it. So with my red blood cells being little crescents and then them clogging up that specific area, it prevents from the oxygen to go through my body. So that's where that came from, because they were like, your hemoglobin levels are really low, you're not getting enough oxygen throughout your body. And it explained a lot. The doctor explained to me that there are two kinds of sickle cell anemia, that there is sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait. The difference being is that sickle cell disease is deadly, which when he was telling me this, I was like, oh my god, do I have sickle cell disease? And all these things started going through my head and I started overthinking. And pretty much sickle cell disease is like where it's like 100% like full-on sickle cell anemia. And whenever it's just like full-on sickle cell anemia, where it comes with like all the symptoms and the chronic pain, and by chronic pain is you get really bad joint pain, and I will link some videos down below where you can see, like, I saw the one that affected me the most is when I saw this video, this little boy, and he was just like, oh, like in agony, just like touching himself, where he had pain and he wasn't able to control it, and it lasted to like 3 to 5 hours. I saw a lot of different videos about it. And then sickle cell trait is like, how should I say it? Like sickle cell disease is like 100% sickle cell anemia, and sickle cell trait is like 50%, should I say. So sickle cell trait is more like you just get the symptoms. So the symptoms are like dizziness, fatigue, weakness, chest pain, muscle pain, which explains so much, because ever since I was little, my hands and feet would swell up, and that was because I wasn't getting oxygen flow to my hands and feet because of sickle cell anemia.
I don't know about you guys, but doesn't that seem kind of convincing? And once again, I don't know anything about the medical field. I know that there are several people out there who do know about the medical field and could be like, no, there's cracks in this story, like maybe this is wrong or that is wrong. But this is coming from somebody who has not been to the doctors in literally 17 years. I know that's horrible. I know that I should probably go, but I just ignore everything. I'm like, yo, it'll go away. I'm like, oh, I got a little pain here. It'll go away. You know what I mean? And I know that's really dumb, but obviously, I don't know. I just have a fear of the doctors. And I'm just like, I feel like a lot of men can relate to that, though, to be honest with you. I'm like, you know what? We're just going to ignore this. But that just goes to show you that I literally don't know anything about the medical field. So when I see a video like that, I'm like, oh, okay, obviously she knows what she's talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I would just like question off the jump. I'd be like, oh, okay, she has this and everything seems legit. And obviously her explanation of it. But obviously, once again, I am dumb. Okay. I know a lot of people like get triggered about that. Like every single time that I call myself dumb or something like that, people will be like, stop talking down about yourself. But I'm like, I'm just keeping it real. Okay. I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, and that's okay. It's fine. I'm a high school dropout and it is what it is. You know what I mean? But anyways, we're going to go ahead and fast forward to now that she started a podcast where she actually said that she lied about the whole thing. And I am just so, I'm so tripped out by this. I want to say, hey, look, I give credit where credit is due, and good for her for even keeping real, because as far as I know, she could have just deleted the video and never mentioned it again. But the fact that she got up on camera and said that she lied about it, y'all, and because of a BBL, I'm like, what? Anyways, go ahead and check out clips from this podcast.
I got a BBL in 2018.
Okay.
And this is exactly how everything went down. So I got the surgery, and obviously, like, for the people that have gotten surgery, they ask you questions beforehand, like about your health and stuff. And I remember them asking, you know, are you anemic? And I said, yes, I have always been anemic. My entire life growing up, I had always tried to donate blood, like in the blood drives. And every time they would tell me, like, no, you're not a candidate, they would even give you like the little brochures. They would have like frijoles and stuff like that, like foods to eat.
And that's
iron.
true. That's very true.
Yeah. And so
they won't take your blood if your iron is low.
And so I just remember being like, oh my God, like, this is so annoying. Like, I've always wanted to, you know, help out, whatever. So I remember they asked me if you're anemic, and I was like, yes. And they're like, okay, usually with patients who are anemic, you know, we'll monitor you afterwards just to make sure, because some patients lose a lot of blood, some don't, like blah blah, just to make sure that you're
just
good.
like safety procedures before the surgery.
And so I was like, yeah, whatever. When I tell you, I did not think about how difficult the aftermath was going to be. She's just like talking to me, and she's like, so how long have you been anemic for? And I was like, oh, like since I can remember. And she's like, you probably have sickle cell.
And she just said it just like that?
Dude, that is the first time ever in my entire life that I had ever even heard that word, right? And I just remember she said that, and I was like, yeah, like whatever. I didn't even pay much attention to it. I just remember she said that, and yeah, whatever. And then like the third day is like when I was finally coming back to life, and I remember looking at my DMs and like messaging people being like, how, like, where are you? Where have you been? Like, I hadn't posted on social media for those 3 days, and then I go into full panic mode. I'm like, holy fuck. I cannot even get up or sit down to use the restroom. I can't like do anything. And then I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I going to tell my fans? Like, I had no content pre-filmed. Like, I go into full panic mode. And I remember at the time it was just my mom and my ex there with me, and they didn't know what to do. And I was just kind of like in a frenzy, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to say that I had sickle cell because...
But let me ask you a question. So when the nurse told you like, oh, you probably have sickle cell, like how was her expression telling you? Was she like worried? Was it just
no,
like, oh,
it was
you
just
have sickle cell? Like,
no, she was like, oh, you probably have sickle cell. Like,
just like bluntly,
she just
like
said
that?
it like just so like nonchalantly.
Nothing.
So there you have it. She came clean about it. A lot of people did question her on Twitter too. I was looking for the tweets, but I could not find the tweets because a lot of people were questioning her, like, girl, this doesn't add up and that doesn't add up. And people were like obviously noticing changes to her body. But I do believe that all those tweets were deleted. I know people were mentioning them on TikTok as well as YouTube videos that I watched about this situation too. But I couldn't personally find any tweets of that. And like I said, like, just keeping it real with you guys, like, I never really followed her. I never really paid attention to her. Do you know what I mean? I had heard this video before that she had sickle cell, and I did hear people questioning it, like if it was true, but I just never really cared to look into it because I don't know, the videos that I've seen of her before, I'm like, she's just not my cup of tea. Like, she just seems like a very, I don't know, she seems like just one of those people that's trying to like keep up with the Joneses, you know what I mean? She seems like somebody that would be casted on like the Real Housewives, you know what I mean, that are just kind of like, you know, I don't know, that's just my opinion. I could totally be wrong. I'm gonna keep it with you guys. These are the only 2 videos I've ever seen of hers. I have seen clips of her videos was before I have seen, like, I want to say maybe she did like a product review before on like IG, and I think it came up on my page, like, y'all, and I'm talking about years ago. So I just, yeah, I don't know too much about her, and I could totally be wrong, but my assumption about her is she seems that way, and I'm just not a fan. Overall, I think that this is a really, like, horrible thing to lie about. But then at the same time, too, y'all know me. I'm the type of person of like, well, hey, she ended up coming clean. You know what I mean? Which now everyone knows what she's fully capable of. And now everyone knows, like, okay. Also, too, I do have to say this. I feel like maybe this was, like, her way of like making money, because one, she's coming out on this podcast. Two, I clicked on over to her IG and she's promoting her OnlyFans. So she was posting some really risque photos showing off that BBL. I was like, oh damn, I would put it up on the screen, but it's probably a little bit too inappropriate. But she did post it on her IG stories, and I was like, oh, maybe this was her way to get people to talk about her, because they're gonna click on her OnlyFans, you know what I mean? And then that'll probably make some money. But anyways, make sure you guys let me know your 2 cents about this. I don't know. This is a doozy. I can't believe that people are literally getting up online and lying about sickle cell. Like, instead of just admitting to a BBL, it's like, to me, I'm so sorry, that is the most bizarre thing that I have ever heard. I feel like that's the most Hollywood thing I've ever heard. Like, I just can't. Like, I don't know. I just live in a world to where everyone around me will admit to everything that they had done. They'll tell everyone. Like, y'all, my mom has had weight loss surgery before, and my mom literally will sit down at a restaurant and she'll be like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I can't order food. Like, I had, like, you know, we'll be out with the whole family. She'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't order. I had weight loss surgery. You know what I mean? Like, she's that upfront about it. So I'm like, y'all, I grew up with that. So to hear people just lie is like, oh my God. Anyways, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.